posted this picture on my community page and a lot of people requested I make a video of it. So today's video is on how to draft the pattern for that corset blouse. In my next video, I'll show you how to use this corset pattern to make a beautiful corset blouse. So guys, if this is what interests you, ensure to stay to the end so you can follow all the steps I use. Let's get down into this tutorial. So we'll start by drafting our full scale block, and to do this I already used my pencil to rule out lines on it, and I'm just going to use my marker to make it more visible for us. And this becomes our center front, that's the center front, and the other side becomes the center back. Yeah, that vertical line there is the center back and here is the center front. So this block form actually measures 22 inches. I use the highest measurement to get the block form, and the length is 24 inches. So these are the measurements we need to draft this pattern. I'll link it or put it up on the screen. So from the center front, I will mark out the shoulder width, and the shoulder width I worked with is 7.5 inches. So I'll mark 7.5 inches there, and from that angle I'll come down by 1.5 inch, and I'm just going to mark the neck width. The neck width is 3 inches and the neck depth as well is 3 inches. So just basically the normal basic bodice neck that I used. So I'm just going to use my curve to curve it this way. After curving it, I'll connect the shoulder slants for the front. So for the back, I will come in from the center back by 7.5 inches for the shoulder, and I'll come down by 1 inch for the back shoulder slant, and I'll mark 3 inches and 1 inch for the neckline curve. So I will still connect it just the way I did for the front. After connecting our neckline and slanting the shoulder, we need to get our armhole depth. And to get this armhole depth, I'll divide my bust or the bust I work with by 6, which is 36 divided by 6, which gave 6 inches plus 1.5 that gave me 7.5 inches that I marked there. So I'm connecting the armhole depth just this way, and I'll measure what I have left, which is 8.5. I will transfer it over to the front armhole, which is 8.5 there. I'm just trying to make it up in a straight line, so I'll mark the front armhole depth. So basically use the back to get your front armhole depth. So after connecting it this way and making sure everything aligns, I'll come over to the front. So from the armhole depth I marked, I'll come up by 3 inches for the front, and I will go in by 0.5 inches. You can decide to use 0.75 inch. So I wanted to connect it at this point, but I need to mark my bust width before I go ahead to connect it. So we'll start measuring our horizontal and vertical measurement. So we'll start from our vertical measurement. I'll mark down from the shoulder for the bust point. The bust point is 10 inches, which I'm going to mark down there. I'll mark 10 inches there, and the shoulder to under bust is 14 inches. Shoulder to waistline is 18 inches. I'm going to mark it there, and the remaining is the full length. I will just make this up in a straight line, just repeating what I did. The shoulder to bust line 10 inches, shoulder to under bust 14 inches, and shoulder to waistline, which is 18 inches. So I'm just going to do this and make it in a straight line. I'll label the lines so we won't get confused at some point. This is our chest line, our bust line, our under bust line. So, and this is the under bust line, and this is our waistline, and the remaining is the full length of the top or blouse. So we're done with the vertical measurement. We need to impute our bust point, that's nipple to nipple, which is 3.75 inches. So I'm imputing the 3.75 inches there. The nipple to nipple point measurement is actually 7.5 inches, and 7.5 inches divided by 2, which gave 3.75 inches. So over to the back side, I'm just going to also do the same thing I did for the front. The vertical measurement first, which I'm going to mark down the chest line 8.5, then the waistline 16 inches, and the full length, which is 22 inches for the back. I know you'll be wondering why the back length is shorter than the front. So we'll be using our bust dart technique. So we're going to put a side bust dart for the front, which is basically going to raise up the front by 2 inches by the side, making it shorter and equal with the back length at this point. So this is me marking out the lines. I labeled the lines for the back as well, which is the chest line, the waistline, and the full length. So we would come over to the front. We're going to mark out the dart for the front, and on the waistline, I'm going to divide 1.5 inches on both sides. That's 0.5 inch, 0.5 inch on both sides. I'll connect it to the bust point. That's the bust line, just the way I'm connecting it now, and also connect it directly to the full length of this blouse. So it's time for us to impute our horizontal measurement. So I will impute our bust circumference, which gave me 9 inches. 36 divided by 4, which is 9 inches. So on the waistline, I will mark the waist measurement, which is 28.5 divided by 4 plus 1.5 inches for that intake, which gave me approximately 8.75. Then for the full length, I measure the circumference of where the full length stop, which is 40 inches divided by 4, which is 10 inches there. So I'm just going to connect these points all together. I'll bring in my hip curve to connect from the waistline to the full length as well. After doing this, we are going to curve our armhole. So to curve this armhole, I've already done that earlier on. So I'm just going to use my armhole curve to connect it all the way to the other end. So over to the back, I will come in from the center back by 3.75 inches. That's the bust span measurement. And I'll make a straight line there. After making the straight line, I will take in the dart for the back, and I'm doing the same thing I did for the front, which is 0.75 inches on both sides, and I'll connect it to the chest line and also to the full length for this back. I will also mark down the horizontal measurements for the back, just the same thing I did for the front: the bust circumference, the waist circumference, and the full length circumference. I'll mark it down there and connect it just the way I did for the front. For the back armhole curve, I will come up by 3.5 inches from the chest line, and I'll come in by 0.5 inches, and I'm going to use my armhole curve to curve it all the way up. And after doing this, now it's now time for us to draft the main corset. This is our full scale bodice now. To do this, I need to tighten my underbust, and the circumference of the underbust is 29 inches divided by 4, which gave 7.25 inches, and what is left there is like 1.5 inches. I'm going to share the excess 1.5 inches on the dart leg. I'll come out to the center front by ½ inch and to the side front by 1 inch. You can decide to either mark it from there, or you can go in and mark it just this way, the 1 inch. So after marking it there, I'm just going to connect it to the full length of this dress. I'll connect it this way using the red marker pen just to differentiate it at this point. So we are just contouring this dress now, so we need to use a different color of marker just to differentiate it for tutorial purpose. So I'll use my curve to connect it also to the nipple point, just this way that I'm doing now. If you don't have your curve, you can decide to use your freehand sketch for it. After doing this, I will come on the shoulder and I'm going to divide the shoulder by 2, which is 2.5 there. I'll divide what I have there by 2, which is 2.5, and I'm going to connect to the nipple point. But before I do that, I just have to come up by ½ inch from the bust line, just not to make it so pointed when I'm drafting the corset. So I'll come up by ½ inch there and connect it just the way I'm doing right now. And after doing this now, I will take in our side darts. For the side dart, I came down from the bust line by 2 inches and connect it this way. So I need to also fold that side dart. So before I do this, I just need to divide what I have there and also come up by ½ inch and connect it to the chest line and the other one to the waistline. I do this because by the time we get to fold the bust side dart, is going to be longer than the other. One is going to be longer than the other. So this helps me to eliminate that. So when we fold it, you get to see what I do. So we're going to do our upper bust tightening, and to do this, I'll mark from the shoulder to our upper bust, depending on how revealing you want your upper bust to be. So for this tutorial, I use 7 inches. That shoulder to the upper bust measurement is 7 inches. I will mark it there and I'll just make it up in horizontal form, just the way I am doing right now. And to tighten the upper bust, I'm going to come in for the side front by ½ inches and the center front by 0.5. This is 0.5 and ½ inches. You can decide to use both 0.5 0.5 on both sides. It all depends on your choice. For this one, this is what I do. So to achieve that deep neckline, I'll come in from the center front by ½ inch and I'm going to connect it just this way. Before we make the curve for this other side, I need to close up the bust darts before connecting it to this other side. I went ahead to cut out the front to enable me close up the darts, and I'm just going to close it up just this way that I'm doing right now. So I'm going to use my scissors to hold it, then bring in my masking tape and mask it up just this way that I'm doing right now. This is how it looks when I was done masking it up. It's all cupped out. I need to make it lay flat by opening up the dart leg. So I'm going to open up the dart leg so that it can lay flat for us before we can continue. So it's all laying flat now. To curve our side bust area, I need to come in from the side front by 1.5 inches on the chest line, and I'm just going to connect it this way that I'm doing now. So I made a mistake at this point, not really a mistake, just a different way you can also connect your bust. So I connected mine this way to meet up here. You can do it this way if you want your net to go under your armhole. So but mine, I don't want it to go under my armhole. I'm going to connect it to the armhole line. So I'll come up by 3 inches. I later changed it, so I later came up by 2 inches because I found out that it was high. I didn't want it to be so obvious, like going up like that. So I came up by 2 inches and connected it this way, and I'm just going to curve it to that 2 inches I marked out there. Just curve it this way to the armhole area. Then I'm just going to, cross the initial line I made so that I won't get confused. So this is it here. So for the side front, I'll come up from the full length by 1.5 inches just to give a little curve around the down part. So I'm just going to curve it this way that I'm doing right now. I'll use the blue marker pen to label them just to also differentiate it. This is the side front and this is the center front. and this is the nipple point, and this is 1 and 2 for the cups. This is the side front for the cup and center front for the cup. I will cut it out at this point. So I'll label this as the front yoke. This is our front yoke. We can use your mesh, you can use anything of your choice, but for this tutorial I'll use mesh for the front yoke in our next sewing video. So I'm just cutting out everything in pieces this way. The annotation or the labels help me to sew it while joining or transferring to our fabric. So to the back, we'll work on this back pattern, and to do that I just need to cut out the excess pattern paper I have there. On the waistline, I'll come in from the center back by 0.75 inches. You can decide to use 0.5 inches. So this is the back tightening we are going to do. So from the neckline, I will come down by 6 inches there, and I'm going to connect it this way, the 0.75 inches to the neckline area. And also I'm going to connect it also to the full length as well. After tightening the back, on the chest line, I will share 0.25 inches on that dart leg, and I'll connect it just this way that I'm doing now. This is my personal preference that I like to do. So this is it here. And after this now, I will come down from the neckline by 1 inch, and I'll mark 1 inch there. And after marking the 1 inch there, I'm just going to come up from the chest line by 2 inches. And after doing this, I'll connect it this way. So I'm just going to use my curve to connect the 1 inch to the line there. So for this blouse, we'll be using loops at the back, and to achieve that, I'm just going to come out from the dart leg on the full length. I'll come out by 2.5 inches, and on the waistline I will come out by 1 inch on the waistline. And after doing that, I was just contemplating on which to go for. So on the chest line, I came out by 1.5 inches. So I'll connect it just this way that I'm doing now. If you don't want your back to be so revealing, you can use this one I used, but if you want yours to be revealing, no problem, you can go ahead to just cut it from where the dart is. So this is how I'm going to connect it, or I just connected it, and I'm just going to measure what I have left there, 1 inch on the waistline. And for the full length, I'm just using my blue marker to do the labeling. And on the chest line is 1.75 inches left, and on the full length line is 1 inches left. So I will mark 1 and 2 for the back, and this is the side back, and this is the center back, and this is the back yoke for this pattern that I'm just labeling there. We will also make the curve around the down part. It will come up by 1 inch and curve it to the dart leg, just the way we did for the front. And I'll go ahead to cut it out. After cutting it out, I'll make a notation there showing that those parts will join together, and I'll just cut out the remaining one. So this becomes our new center back since we are using loops. But if you're not using loops, so you want to use your zip, you can decide to use the other one as a center back. Just bring it close add your zip allowance, and you're good to go like this. So guys, this is everything we drafted. Like, this is the whole pattern we have drafted in this video. So if you find this video helpful and interesting, give it a thumbs up, share it, and subscribe to this channel. See you in the next video for the sewing. Bye.